Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S23 FE and see how it compares against the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE in, I guess, 2023, but the S23 just came out, so it's not that big of a deal. If you want to pick up some phones I would recommend buying this year though, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both of them, the S21 FE did actually come out in 2022. So this phone on the front has that 6.4-inch dynamic AMOLED display, and it's a pretty good looking panel. It's a big size screen for the most part, full HD, and 120Hz as well. It's a very good looking display. I feel like Samsung with the S21 FE actually did a really decent job. I was genuinely surprised with it. It felt very good in the hand, it felt very premium, and I still feel like if they were selling the S21 FE, it's still actually a decent device to pick up from that specific perspective. It still feels very good and very, very expensive nonetheless. Now with the S23 FE, they changed things up a little bit. So you're still getting that same 6.4-inch, dynamic AMOLED display. It's still 120Hz and still full HD, but I feel like it's not as good of a panel, meaning they put a little bit more bezel around this display than the S21 FE actually had. Now this is a very weird thing. I don't know why Samsung did this. It gives me like Samsung Galaxy A14 type of energy, and that's a cheaper phone. That's a much cheaper phone than this thing. So the S21 FE actually feels more premium in my opinion than the S23 FE in this particular standpoint, which is actually pretty crazy. Now I will also add with the S23 FE, you're getting a lower screen to body ratio. So there's actually technically more bezel around basically the panel of this specific phone than the S21 FE. Not a big massive deal, but that is just a small kind of minor thing that could actually lead you of kind of thinking the S21 FE is a better feeling phone. On the sides, kind of the same type of material like the aluminum and everything, USB Type-C ports on the bottom as well, which again is kind of like a nice thing to have. There's also another difference here. The IP certification is the same, but on the back side, this is pretty crazy. So before on the S21 FE, we were getting that frosted plastic back, which honestly for the S20 FE I didn't like that much, but I actually kind of got used to, and it kind of, it really wasn't that big of a deal after a little bit of time. With the S23 FE, we now have that standard glass back. Now, I honestly feel like the FE's glass back is better, but I just don't like the feeling of that phone. Like I said, I just don't really think it feels like that premium, and I feel like Samsung could have done a better job even with the S23 FE. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but that was just one small thing that kind of stood out to me, and that might be something that you might have to think about as well. But from that specific perspective, that's kind of how I see it coming from that standpoint. So on the outside, lots of overlap, wireless charging, reverse wireless charging, they both feel good, but I feel like the S21 FE feels overall more premium than something like the S23 FE in this particular standpoint. So from that standpoint, that kind of covers it up there. Now, in terms of the camera setup, this is also kind of a funny thing between both. So between both, on the back, they both getting triple camera setups, which is always nice to have. So on the S21 FE, you're getting the 12 megapixel wide, 8 megapixel telephoto, then a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. The S23 FE, 50 megapixel wide, 8 megapixel telephoto, then a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. But the front camera downgraded. We went from a 32 megapixel front facing camera on the Galaxy S21 FE to a 10 megapixel camera on the S23 FE. I don't know why they did this. I don't really even think it's that big of a deal or anything, but it is kind of a funny thing. Now here's the thing. Between both, you are getting 4K at 60 on the front and 4K at 60 on the back, which is always so fun to have, but there's another slight difference here. With the S21 FE, you are getting only 4K at 60 on the back, but the S23 FE can now do 8K capability, which is a really cool feature to have. Now they're both going to have kind of the same types of issues, like if you're going through in certain social media applications, you're going to experience kind of the same types of issues. But what I will tell you is between both, you are getting very solid cameras on both as well, and you're getting a slightly better one on the back camera on the S23 FE, but I feel like with the S21 FE, you're getting a slightly better front camera. So a little bit of like wishy-washy, like flip-flopping stuff going on that always happens between these types of devices. Another small thing, not the big deal or anything, but it looks like you are probably getting, higher megapixel count on overall cameras on the FE as well, on the S23 FE. So I will probably tell you, if you want the better camera, it's probably going to be the S23 FE, and having 8K capability is such a nice feature. but I feel like for a lot of people, 4K at 60 is still completely fine, and with the S21 FE, you're probably going to be perfectly fine as well. So from that standpoint, from that perspective, that kind of covers it up there. Now, in terms of software and longevity, this is also going to be another slight difference here as well. So with the S21 FE, this phone came out at the same time or has the same chipset as the S21. So you could probably assume that that device is going to last as long as the S21. So it's probably not going to last like 30,000 more years. It's probably going to last like another like year or two. And that's kind of how that one's potentially going to go. And we don't know for a fact, but that's kind of what we have to assume. With the S23 FE, this one has the same chipset, not as the S23, but as the Galaxy S22. So that's still a newer chipset than the S21. So we're going to be getting a newer phone and a newer software version basically on a device like the S23 FE than the S21 FE. So no matter which way you look at it, you are going to be getting the longer lasting device on the S23 FE than the S21 FE. By how much? That I'm not really 100% too sure. If I kind of had to guess, I would probably say that my Galaxy S23 FE is probably going to last like another 2 years more than the S21 FE. Again, I don't think it's going to be like the biggest deal in the world, but that's going to be a small little change that you're probably going to notice within those specific devices. So from that standpoint alone, that kind of covers it up there as well. Now, on top of that, in terms of the performance side of things, the Galaxy S21 FE inside had that Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset inside, with 6 gigs of RAM on the base models, but it does go up to 8 gigabytes of RAM. With the Galaxy S23 FE, we're getting that Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset inside with 8 gigabytes of RAM inside of that device. Now that's a very good thing. Once again, having that type of RAM and having that type of experience is a very, very good thing, and that is a very awesome thing that I love seeing on my devices. I love having a phone that has like a bunch of RAM, and the S23 FE is basically going to be the one giving you that. But here's the funny thing, I don't even use my phone that much, so that statement I made earlier isn't even that big of a deal. I feel like with the S23 FE, it's going to be probably the better one, probably for a majority of people, but the S21 FE I think is still very, very good, and that is going to be the phone that's still going to be giving you very decent performance from like a value per dollar standpoint. Now what I'm probably going to also say for the most part is that with a device like the Galaxy S21 FE, this is going to be a device that's still going to be giving you very decent performance. It's going to be very solid, and I don't really feel like you're going to be missing out on too much. Like that's still a very decent performing phone. With the Galaxy S23 FE, this is going to be the phone that's going to be giving you better performance overall. And I do remember with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset, that was a very solid performing phone from that specific perspective as well. So that's like another kind of small thing to keep in mind there too. Now in terms of battery life, you are going to be getting pretty much almost the same size battery size between both, 4,500 milliamp hours. Again, not like a big reason to go and upgrade or anything. Like you're getting almost not only the same type of battery size, but almost the same type of battery features as well, like with like reverse wireless charging and wireless charging and all that stuff. So once again, you're really not missing out on anything there either. So when it comes down to it with both devices, I will probably tell you the S21 FE by far is the better one. The S21 FE, the only reason I would pick this thing up is because it's a better value per dollar, although it does have some better features here and there like I mentioned. I think it feels better in the hand, that's kind of the bigger thing, and it has a better front camera. Otherwise though, I think the Galaxy S23 FE is the better one probably for a vast majority of people, and that's the one I'd recommend probably every single person to go and pick up. So the choice is yours, but I look at a phone like the S23 FE as probably being the better one. But I think the S21 FE, if you can buy it for less than like $230-ish, I think that's a very, very solid, price to pick that type of phone up. So that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.